only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
The National Weather Service has issued a severe thunderstorm warning.
Welcome to the Common Sense Practical Prepper Podcast, where prepping doesn't have to be complicated or expensive. Coming to you from a well-defended off-grid compound high in the mountains. Coming to you from his Florida room in Richmond, Virginia. Neither off-grid nor well-defended, unless you count his chickens and cats. Here is your host, Keith.
Hey everybody, this is Keith and welcome back to the Common Sense Practical Prepper Podcast, November 19th, 2025. And I was putting the script together and I decided to open my email, and lo and behold, I had about a half dozen emails. So I'm going to go ahead and do a mailbag. Let's dip into the mailbag and see what's been going on. Sorry I haven't been on for a while. Work has been super busy, and I had that nasty sinus infection, so my voice is almost back to normal. I hope everybody out there is doing well. So the first email comes from someone who wants to know how to find other preppers. And this young man apparently is the only member of his crew, of his family and friends, his little inner circle that are involved into prepping. And he wants some advice on how to reach out, how to find other preppers. You certainly don't want to be too over the top. You don't want to be too preachy or too pushy. So let's look into a couple different options. You could always look for local camping groups, local hiking clubs, or even shooting ranges. Preppers love to hang out and enjoy those activities and kind of doing it on the down low. If you want to go online and look, now Reddit can be kind of toxic, but they do have a subreddit, r/preppers, and it's decent. They have a lot of information, but again, I kind of hesitate to go on Reddit from time to time because it can be so toxic. So if you're looking to get your family or friends into prepping, you need to drop hints. Something like, hey, I got this cool new water filter. Or, what do you think about upgrading our first aid kit? Assuming you have a first aid kit in the closet, under the sink, that sort of thing. A buddy of mine actually ran into a prepper, unbeknownst to him, at a hardware store, and they were talking about batteries, and then it turned into solar chargers, and then it turned into a full-blown conversation, and this person just happened to be involved in prepping as well. What about a garden club? A lot of people that have gardens are very self-sufficient, so that could always be an avenue. But don't try too hard, and you might be surprised on what you find out there. And thank you so much for the email. I really do appreciate it. Someone else sent an email asking about a common mistake that people make for their winter heating plans. And I talked a little bit about this the last podcast, I believe, and that is, in my opinion, ignoring insulation. Walls, and especially your windows, bleed heat in the winter, and then obviously in the summertime, you're going to get a lot of leakage and lose a lot of your AC. Try the inexpensive weather stripping or that plastic film that you put over your windows. Now, I have tried that in my Florida room. I've got it on a couple of the windows. It's not as easy to install as you see on the videos, but it's working, and I just need to find the time to complete the other windows. Don't rely on space heaters alone. I spoke about those. They're fire risks, and you need to watch out and make sure that the room is vented. Wool blankets, hot water bottles, hand warmers. Don't forget hand warmers. They have the chemical hand warmers, and they have battery-operated hand warmers.
We'll be back after a quick break.
Hey, Common Sense Practical Prepper listeners. Want reliable, long-lasting food for your preps? Augustin Farms has you covered with top-quality freeze-dried and dehydrated meals, veggies, meats, and more. Shelf-stable up to 25 years, made in the USA, and actually delicious. Great prices, even better product. Use my affiliate link in the show notes. Don't forget to use the coupon code PODCASTPREP at checkout for an extra 10% off. Stock up now and prep smart. Back to the show.
Make sure you layer up, plenty of layers, a base layer, your secondary layer, your top layer, then you have coat, hats, gloves, the whole nine. When it also comes to winter prep, and I mentioned this a while ago, don't forget your pipes under your house. Make sure that they are insulated in the event you live in a region where your pipes could freeze and burst. Got an email from someone asking about apartment prep hacks. They have roommates apparently, and they're curious to know how to store food without your roommates necessarily noticing or jamming the fridge absolutely full to the point to where the door won't even close. My suggestion would be use vertical bins like in your closet. And if you have a decent sized closet, or if you have a winter coat or a long winter coat, I have noticed when I have to dig through my closet to find a pair of shoes or find something in the back, that they're always hiding behind like a long winter coat. There's always room back there, and it's a little hidden, so it's not very obvious. You can get plastic totes and put those into the closet. You can put the food, the rice, the cans into plastic bins, and then maybe put a quilt or a blanket over it. So if anybody does see it, it just looks like a stack of blankets or a stack of quilts. And not to be too obvious, and this goes for anybody that's just starting to prep, just buy a little bit at a time. Buy extra bottles of water, a gallon jug of water, some beans, some rice. If you have the ability to vacuum seal, then that certainly compresses the size of the item and it can be stored a lot easier. The last email comes from somebody who is on a shoestring budget and was asking about a budget bug out bag. And I covered this a couple podcasts ago when I spoke about going to the Dollar Tree or dollar store or thrift stores to purchase some of the basics that you need for your bug out bag, your get home bag. So don't be afraid to go to a Goodwill or another thrift store. You might spend $5, $6, $8 on a backpack. And again, it doesn't have to be a backpack that looks like you're going to summit Mount Everest. It can be something very low key. We don't want to be walking around in a grid down situation with a tactical backpack, because that basically screams, hey, I've got training, I've got skills. And if I've got training or skills, I've probably got a firearm. So there might be a situation where you stand out and you kind of make yourself a target. But the opposite argument could be made where somebody would look at you and go, I'm not going to mess with that guy or gal because they look like they know what they're doing. But I would tend to go low key and not count on the fact that someone is going to bypass you because they think you have skills, you have training, you have the firearm, and they're not going to mess with you, especially if there's a small group of people. In my opinion, I can see that group of 2 or 3 seeing somebody with a tactical backpack thinking, well, it's 3 against 1 or 2 against 1. We can probably take this person. So I would definitely go subtle as much as I could. So at the Dollar Tree, Dollar General, thrift stores, water bottles, multi-tool, first aid kits, bandages, over-the-counter painkillers, tweezers, ponchos, some cheapy socks, energy bars. Thrift stores, you might get lucky and find some decent boots, maybe a flashlight. Talked about the backpack. Don't worry about paracord bracelets, and don't worry about all the other high-tech gear. If you're on a budget, obviously start small and build up as you go. I'm not sure. I certainly don't know anyone that made their bug out bag in an afternoon, or they made their go home bag over the weekend. It takes time. You need to plan, but you might be surprised on what you find out there. Much like the first listener in their email, you might be surprised of what you find when you're really not looking for it. I know I like to be organized, and I like to have like a mental checklist of what I'm going to purchase at Home Depot or whatever errands I happen to be running on a particular day. But as you know, sometimes you run across things that you're not even really looking for. One of those impulse buys, I guess, you really didn't know you needed it until you saw it, which is kind of like me at Home Depot, because I go to Home Depot not wanting anything, not really needing anything, but coming out of there spending way too much money. I'm not sure if it's their marketing. I'm not sure what it is, or I feel obligated to purchase something. Guys are probably listening to this, nodding their head, going, yeah, Keith, I know where you're coming from. All right, folks, again, If you want to reach me, practicalpreppodcast@gmail.com. I really do appreciate the emails. I appreciate folks reaching out. And again, I answer all of these emails. I don't sell your information. I don't even know how to sell people's information, let alone wanting to do that. But again, I appreciate all the emails. And again, don't forget, I've had a few additional people purchase some products through the Augustin Farms affiliate link, and any commission that I happen to make during the whole month of November, all of those proceeds will go to the Chesterfield Food Bank, which is about 10 minutes from my house. All right, folks, it's winter time in this part of the world. Folks down under, you're enjoying a nice spring or a nice summer, I hope. And as always, be careful out there, take care of one another, and until next time.
Thanks for listening to the Common Sense Practical Prepper Podcast. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. While you're at it, help spread the word by leaving a rating and review.